Fools are dancing, laughing, singing students of life. Welcome to Fools on Fire, the podcast for fools who are on fire.
I've thought about how it works, and I don't know.
But the onslaught of bullshit's the exact same as it's always been.
You're going to come to love being interrupted.
Well, I have to
Is it
tell
ki-
you something.
Yeah.
I'm a visionary.
Well, it sounds like it.
I am. I'm a fucking visionary. It's from the ADD.
I've had the easier job here. You got to give it up. That's what this is all about. You got to give.
Welcome to Fools on Fire, where flawed, fanciful folks have fierce fun trying to fan the flames of fearlessness. Join us, fools.
I stopped at Chipotle on my way home from the gym today.
Chipotle.
Yeah.
That's nice. I
I started
admire the fact that
walking.
you go to the gym.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. There's a gym in my building that I used to go to, but now I walk 10 full minutes to
Wow.
Planet Fitness.
So the gym in your building, wasn't it? It's part of your building, right? Like, don't you have a free membership?
Yeah, and it's right downstairs.
And so instead, you pay to go to another gym that's 10 minutes away.
Correct.
Interesting. So what
Yes.
is it about? Does it have better machines, more machines, cuter prospects?
It does have better machines.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I guess the gym downstairs is pretty small. So yeah, I go to the gym 10 minutes away. It's really cheap. I only joined because it's super, super cheap.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like $10 a month.
Wow. How do they
Yeah.
survive on $10 a month?
I have no idea.
Huh. And why are some gyms so damned expensive? I remember thinking of joining that one in Century. No. Where was it? Oh. Ugh. What's that?
Equinox?
No. Well, maybe the neighborhood that starts with a W. That's not West Hollywood, but
Westwood?
yeah. And they have some super fancy, like, celebrity studded gym there, and it was like, I don't know, $300 a month or something ridiculous.
Oh my God, $300 a month?
Yeah.
Well,
But
the most expensive gym I know is Equinox, and it's $150 a month.
Oh, and that's up on Sunset Boulevard?
There's one downtown. There's one
Mm.
up on Sunset. I don't know about one in Westwood,
Mm.
but there's maybe 3 around the LA area.
There's a gym near me, and I'm attracted to going there because its signage is all purple.
That's what Planet Fitness is. It's all purple.
Huh.
That's where I go.
Aw.
Planet Fitness.
I like that. I like purple. So you
So,
went
yeah.
to Chipotle before you went to the gym or after?
No, after.
Oh, okay.
I stopped by Chipotle. I
Mm.
either go to Chipotle or I go to Whole Foods for prepared food, the little food
Ah.
bar.
The Indian food bars.
So
Kinda
this
yummy.
guy, I'm walking down the sidewalk on my
Mhm.
way to Chipotle, and there's this guy coming up behind me, and I'm wearing my earbuds listening to music, but I can hear him
Mhm.
behind me. I don't know what he's saying, but he's got a big old loud voice, and he's walking up behind me. So I sort of turn. I'm like, what the hell? And he walks by me. He's talking to himself. And he walks by me. He's talking to himself loudly. But he's dressed pretty stylish. He's like, look, he's dressed really nice.
Uh-huh.
He's got this really cool hat on, this wide-rimmed hat, and he's wearing like a shawl, some like wool shawl, and like nice tailored pants and nice
A wool
shiny
shawl.
shoes. Yeah, he's wearing
Really?
a wool shawl. Yeah, I think it was wool.
Okay.
So he keeps going past the Chipotle, and the Chipotle's on a corner. I go into the corner doors into Chipotle, and then he enters over by the side doors.
Mm.
So we end up in line next to each other at the Chipotle,
Okay.
if that made any sense.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking to me. I still have my earbuds in, so I'm still listening to music.
Okay.
But he's like looking at me, and his lips are flapping. So I take my earbuds out, and he starts telling me he's from Ohio. Oh, really? I'm from Ohio.
Oh.
Yeah, he's from Cleveland. I'm like, yeah, been there.
Been there. Yeah.
And he's in town to Oh God, what did he say? Something about a clothing line, like he's gonna start, like he's gonna sell clothes, or he's gonna start his own
Oh.
clothing line or something.
Because you live sort of in the fashion district, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. That Chipotle is near there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So he said, let me give you my number.
Oh.
He said, oh no, he said, you look like you just came from the gym.
Oh.
He said, oh no, he said, you look sharp, like you just came from the gym.
Huh, that's
I'm not
interesting.
gonna argue with that. And so then we go through the whole line. We have to sort of hang with each other
Yeah.
as we're ordering our food and
Right.
paying.
Yeah.
And then he's getting all his food and everything. Oh, and he says his is for there. I say mine is to go.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, no, you have to get yours for here. You have
Aw.
to eat here.
Aw.
I said, no, I've got to go.
Way to work it. Way to be mysterious and unavailable. And then
Exactly.
how did he look? Crestfallen or intrigued? Or ambivalent? Or
Stoned.
st-
He looked
Oh.
stoned the
Oh.
whole time, in fact.
So you're gonna call him? You're gonna text him? You're gonna do anything about that?
I don't know. Maybe I took his number.
Wait, he's from out of
He
town?
he lives here now. He just moved here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I figure, I'll wait for that moment when I'm feeling particularly ambitious
Yeah.
or adventurous
Yeah, yeah.
or fearless.
Ah. Like
When
a
I when
fool.
I've
Like a fool on
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, when I'm fanning the flames of fearlessness,
Uh-huh. That'd be a good
maybe I'll
time to
send him
call
this.
him when you're
Yeah.
when you're Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll change my mind.
Oh,
And I
indeed.
won't. And I just won't do it at all.
Huh. How does one go about changing their mind, I wonder?
It's tricky. You need drugs. Requires drugs, from what I
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, you have to take drugs before you make a phone call. That's bad. That's bad. Like the people who have to get drunk before they have sex.
Oh, that's bad. I like that. That was cute. That's bad. You said
That's bad.
that's bad.
My experience. It's indicative of a little bit of insecurity, perhaps.
Maybe.
And do you remember being insecure way back when?
Like yesterday.
I knew you were gonna go there. No, but really, like, when did it change? Like, I just remember when I was a kid, or even shit, like 20s. Ugh, just, ugh, fearful and anxious and, ugh, yikes. And then it's like you just, I don't know, grew out of it or have enough experiences that you realize that it's not so bad.
Hmm. I feel like I've come and go. I was when I was much younger. I
Mhm.
remember being very secure and no anxiety, no worries.
Hmm.
Um, Very confident.
Really?
Yeah, very young.
Huh.
And then I'd say high school.
Mhm.
Uh, I took a dip. Not
Mm.
all of high school, but early high school. I took a dip. My insecurities,
Mhm.
kicked into gear.
Right.
And then after high school and early in my career, early mid career, pretty secure.
Mm.
Um, and then I interpreted it as insecurity, but I really developed like anxiety,
Hmm.
and it was I didn't know. I still really don't know where it came from. like, but almost debilitating anxiety.
Well, do you think that had anything to do with Sassy McAssface?
Mm,
Not that you have to go into it, but the
right. Well, okay. Well, sassy McKiss.
we don't have to tell people who Sassy McAssface is, but
Well,
do you think she had anything to do with your anxiety?
right. It sounds like an ex lover. It sounds like a fucked up relationship. No, I don't. I was so sassy. I had a brain tumor. All right, that's sad. And Lisa named it Sassy McAssface.
Well, she was a big fat bitch. She needed a good name.
I don't know. I think so because since we got rid of her,
Mhm.
um,
Do you feel
I do.
Yeah, tell us.
Well, you know what I'm how I feel is okay before before the dizziness that came on, which led to the discovery of Sassy.
Mhm.
The anxiety, you know this. I disclosed it to you.
Mhm.
It was just out of control. It was rampant. There was nothing I could do.
Hmm.
And thinking now that it was physical just makes perfect sense.
Mm.
Because before I was never in my life was I anxious sometimes? Sure.
Mhm.
Was it completely out of my control? No.
Mm.
Did I understand it before? Yeah, I knew, okay, I'm anxious because of this or because
Mhm.
of that. But it
Mhm.
wasn't unmanageable or wasn't I could deal with
Inexplicable?
it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I could deal with it. It was malleable.
Okay. You could cope.
Yeah, it would I could cope because it was malleable. I could
Okay.
work with it. I could make
Mm.
it go away.
You could intellectualize it away, perhaps, or some other sort
Well,
of strategy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could reason to myself.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
I was nervous about something, then you'd be like, "Hey, it goes away."
But then, yeah.
This anxiety, it was
Huh.
and it was baffling. Yeah, I didn't
Huh.
understand it.
And I didn't too, because I remember you telling me about it, and it was just so foreign to, the Dean I know. I remember you saying that you really disliked the conferences, or the big meetings with tons of people. You especially disliked if you're voted the lead speaker of the table to present the discussion, that you just found it like you couldn't stand it. Like, and I would say, well, why? And it was just, well, people looking at me, or feeling insecure about what I'm saying, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because here I'm picturing you in the middle of your living room, right, with all of us going batshit crazy, saying whatever you want, and not caring about
Mhm.
anything. And I mean, yeah, it's a different situation, but it was just hard for me to reconcile the guy I know with the guy that you're describing at work.
Well, plus I
And
had been in that situation countless times before.
yeah.
It was not like it wasn't a new situation.
Mhm.
I had been, I get nervous in front of people,
Mhm.
but it was never like this.
Mm.
This was like times 100 to the point where it was all I could take to not run out of the room.
Mm.
It was crazy, crazy. And also at my school,
Mhm.
I felt that way, and
Wow.
just like just weird situations. It was really strange.
Huh.
I thought, shit, I'm gonna have to get, I'm gonna need medication. I can't live like this.
Right. Wow.
Um, but then the dizziness came, and I got my brain tumor taken out.
Wow.
And now how I feel, it's
Yeah.
also really difficult to describe because I don't feel that anxiety.
Wow.
But I feel in certain situations, I feel like I'm worried I'm going to feel it.
Right. That's the
And the
bad habit
worry,
energy. Yeah.
yep, it's like now my everything about me is anticipating
Mhm.
the anxiety to strike,
Right.
and that generates anxiety.
Right.
But I'm imagining that over time, over the course of the next year,
Mhm.
like that may all, because I still feel dizzy sometimes too.
Right.
So
Well,
over the
you're
course
going
of
to
the year,
replace the old bad experiences with new experiences, and eventually the memory, I would hope, would fade.
yeah, yeah. And this is all conjecture. I mean, I don't know for a fact that the brain tumor had anything to do with any of this.
It definitely seems like a logical hypothesis, though.
I'm gonna ask my surgeon.
Mm.
I'm gonna ask my surgeon if it's possible, based upon the location of where it
Right.
was,
Yeah.
because it was my brain stem.
Hmm.
Doesn't like anxiety. It's not like anxiety seems like an animal brain stemmy,
Right.
primitive kind of thing, doesn't
The
it?
amygdala. We're learning all about
Right.
the amygdala and the cortex and the neocortex and the whatever.
Right.
Because we read chapter 2 of the happiness hypothesis.
Yes, we did. And good God, that's the reason we're here. Enough about me.
Well, no, but it's interesting because he has an example in the book of a guy who turned into a sexual predator after like
Yeah.
right. So he was just a normal guy. I think he was a professor and then married with children and then just bit by bit turned into a monster and then assaulted. I don't know. He got eventually got arrested and convicted and then the day before sentencing he had this like splitting headache, went to the emergency room to find out he's got a tumor,
Mm.
a brain tumor. And so then they take it out and then all those urges and behaviors were gone. And then they came back because the tumor grew back in the same place it was before.
Oh my God. That is so
So
crazy.
So whenever I misbehave, I blame the tumor.
Right.
Well, I blame my brain chemistry and my genetics and my childhood.
Well, having read this chapter, it seems legitimate.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like we are what our brain does.
Mhm.
I mean, our mind is what our brain does.
Mhm.
So it's all, I mean, it's all rooted in like the biochemistry of your brain.
Yeah.
And if you get the short end of the stick, if you're like the on the unlucky side of things,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
says there's no way out but medication.
Well, he has medication, therapy, and meditation. But like,
Right, right, right.
especially terrifying. Well, I don't know about terrifying. Well, I'll say intriguing is the story about the twins. Right? He talks about these identical twin sisters. They, how did it go? All these. So they married. They both married their high school sweetheart. They both. I'm making shit up now for the sake of example.
I remember some of them
They
though.
both like played the violin and they both loved horror movies and they both had short hair.
Oh, check this out. And
What?
they both developed the habit of pushing up on their nose with the palm of their hand.
And they both called it the same thing,
They had a name for it, and they
like
both called it the same fucking
a
thing.
squidgy or something.
Something, yes.
And so you might think, oh well, big deal, until I tell you that they are
Dun
adopted.
dun
They're
dun.
adopted at birth by two separate families. They didn't fucking know each other their whole lives until they were 40.
Yeah, until they were 40.
40.
Yeah, at nearly the end of their lives.
The guys that they married had the same fucking name.
No. Right, I forgot about that.
So
That's so
it really
fucking
makes you feel
crazy.
like you're
Why
not.
bother?
Well, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to why bother. I don't want to go there because I fucking will. I'll fucking quit bothering.
You look,
You
you
let me
don't
think
have
about
to go
that. Let me
there.
think about that for a minute, and I'll agree.
You do not have to go there. Don't worry. I'll go there by
It's
myself.
bad for my mental health. I learned that in therapy.
Okay.
I got to protect my mental health. It's very fragile.
Yes, yes, yes. Bother. Bother.
Bother.
Yes, by all means, bother.
um, but instead of saying to myself, why bother, I try to put a positive spin on it, and I don't beat myself. I try hard to not beat myself up about the stupid shit that I do and say and the decisions that I make if they're if it's all bad, of course,
Well,
right?
don't worry. I'll pick up the slack where you.
Well, yeah, it's because I need some perspective. That's what you're here for. That's what I'm paying you for. It's for a little fucking
I'm
perspective.
worth every penny.
Yeah, but it's like, but then it's intriguing too because you can sort of see it as an, well, I want to say opportunity, but it's like a game. We were talking about games a few episodes ago about how do you, how do you win a game, or what is the game? It's the We were talking about the game of life, right? So what is a game? It's trying to reach an objective given a certain set of parameters. So so if you can sit down and really like realistically have an understanding of your own set of parameters, then you might have a better chance of a, you know, creating a realistic outcome for you given your set of parameters, right?
Hmm.
And then recognize that these parameters are what you have to work with, as opposed to, letting other people say to you, or letting yourself say to you, well, I shouldn't be a night owl, right? I should get up early in the morning because that's what successful people do, right?
Hmm.
Or shit, I shouldn't, whatever it is that you do that you think isn't um contributing to success. I shouldn't watch so much TV, or I shouldn't whatever. If you say, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about being a night owl, right? I'm a night owl. So, how do I win this game and use being a night owl to my advantage, as opposed to spinning my wheels and wasting my time trying not to be a night owl, trying not to do it, trying to wake up early. And then I can't wake up early. So obviously I'm a defective fucking asshole, right? And so then you're just wallowing in this desire to change yourself in ways that you can't possibly change yourself because it's completely beyond your control. It's your genetics, it's your brain chemistry, it's human nature, it's whatever.
Is that in this book?
No, I'm just writing my own book right
Okay.
now.
No. Okay. No, I'm only asking because I feel like that is life changing.
Oh, really?
I feel like I do because I think what you just described a ton of people do. They
Mm.
beat their heads against the
Mhm.
wall for
Mhm.
their whole lives.
Yes. My
And if
dad,
they
my
don't,
dad, perfect example. Yeah.
it's about knowing yourself and being
Mhm.
true to yourself rather than trying to conform to
Mhm.
the norm
Right.
out there in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And it's so liberating. The thing that I'm wondering about though as I listen to that, um I feel that I feel like lighter having just
Oh.
heard what you said. Because it's very reasonable, rational, and permissive and humanistic.
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, and I don't know if you have any thoughts about it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Oh, I
Um,
do.
I know you do. I think about my own life, of course, and there are external things
Yeah.
that maybe you're not good at,
Yeah.
and maybe just aren't your thing that you can't control that you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like let's say someone out there, let's say me, someone else out there, they're a night owl,
Yeah.
but they can't afford to quit their job that
Mhm.
requires that they get up at the crack of dawn.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's I guess is there a way around that, or is there just a struggle? Are you just gonna have to struggle every fucking morning to get your ass out of bed?
Well, I think, well, first of all, the first step one would be able to take, were they aware of this sort of concept that it's not me, it's my brain, is realizing it, right? Like accurately, my dad loves to say, accurately stating the problem is 90% of the solution,
Mhm.
right? So one could say to themselves, well, first they could be delusional. And they say, "Oh, I'm not a night owl. I just can't sleep." Or I'm not, or I am a morning person. It's like even recognizing what you are first. And then the second thing is not beating yourself up about it, right? It's like saying, "Well, I stay up late in spite of the fact that that means I'm tired at work and I don't do as good a job as I can." And I do that, well, obviously, because I guess I'm an ungrateful employee, or I'm not ambitious, or self-hatred, self-hatred, self-flagellation. And that is not useful at all, right? Because that's operating under the assumption that you could change if only you were of high quality character or high moral fiber. Um so let's say you can't change. So what can you what can you do, right? Uh maybe you could maybe you could get a job with a night shift, or
Right.
right,
I
or
mean,
maybe
you're
you
looking
know
at changing jobs at this point.
yeah, maybe you change jobs, or maybe you just maybe you ask for a later start time, or maybe you just say, when you're at work the first couple hours and you're beat tired, maybe you, instead of saying, "God, I wish I wasn't tired," or "I wish um I was, made a bigger effort to fall asleep at night," say, "Okay, well, what are the most monotonous tasks that I have at work to do? Why don't I just always schedule those for the morning?" Like whatever, right? But
Mhm.
in the book, he talks about changing your mind. So, well, it's kind of nice because the chapter begins with him telling you why it's not all your fault. Right?
Mhm.
Like why the unsuccessful behaviors you exhibit, you come by them naturally. Um or what's that other phrase? I come by it honestly, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
Um so I think that's meant, to kind of clean the slate of like say, okay, it's there are really good reasons why I um behave the way I do. So, but let's say they're unacceptable behaviors. So what can I do about it? Cuz you're right, there's always, if you want to if you have a goal in mind and you want to achieve it, and you have exhibit certain behaviors that are going to hold you back, it's not always an option to just change the goal, right? You can't.
Shit, like the guy who became a pedophile.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
unacceptable. But it was
Yeah.
still his brain, right?
Or you, like with your anxiety, like if, and I don't know, but it's like if it were common knowledge that um people just don't change their anxiety level, like that your anxiety level pretty much should be a constant throughout your life,
Mhm.
then maybe more alarm bells would have arose in your mind that it wasn't just a result of circumstances or of
Mhm.
aging, right? And maybe you would have found a sassy McAss face sooner rather than later,
Right.
for better for
Mhm.
worse, right? Um, but but yeah, so then let's say you do want to try and change your behaviors as opposed to changing your goal. Then he offers three solutions, or three methods that are proven. What I love about this guy is that he tests all of his, well, hypotheses against actual scientific studies, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so meditation is known the world over for being very effective for getting in touch with your elephant, getting in touch with the part of your mind that is below your consciousness. And Meditate. Well, I don't know. Have you ever tried to meditate?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I have never found meditation to be that difficult.
Oh, really?
Well, except for I tried meditation when I was suffering from all this horrible anxiety,
Right.
and I could not fucking meditate.
Huh.
But prior to that,
Yeah.
and oh, I could meditate. I mean, for almost any length of time that I wanted,
Huh.
and we go. I mean, I would get into a zone.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty
so,
cool.
did you find that meditation was useful? I mean, other than
Hmm.
zoning out, how did it affect your life for the good?
Well, it wasn't so much zoning out. It was just more like just a very peaceful place where you can get to a point. I mean, it takes time, but for me anyway, initially, like the kind of meditation I would do, I don't know what it's called, but I would just listen to my thoughts.
Mm.
I didn't do a mantra like I'm awesome, or whatever. What's the sound of one hand clapping or anything
Right.
like that?
Yeah.
I would just listen to it's a kind of meditation that I read
Mm-hmm.
about, maybe transcendental, I don't know. I would just try and listen to my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, for the first phase of the going into meditation, um, you fall out of listening to your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of listening to them, you start thinking them again. Right? You
Hmm.
associate with your as the thinker,
Right.
and you catch yourself thinking.
Right. Yeah. As opposed to
And
being the watcher or,
right, as opposed to
yeah.
just observing what,
Yeah.
batshit crazy nonsense pops into your head.
Right. Yeah.
But then you just keep reminding yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you can, with, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, you're sort of locked in
Mm-hmm.
to, you don't forget again, and
Mm.
you just listen to the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other places to go with it that I've read about that I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been able to get to. I mean, there are people who meditate for weeks,
Yeah. Hmm.
and they go places.
So, do you remember when you transitioned from meditating and finding it beneficial to then being so anxious that you couldn't meditate anymore?
Um, yeah, it was sometime, I'm gonna say around like maybe 2007, 8, 9, maybe 2010, something like that.
Hmm. Wow. Which is about when they think Sassy McAssface was born.
Yeah, well, he said 2 to 10 years. I
Wow.
had it for 2 to 10 years, something like that.
You know, it's so interesting because y- another sign for you, right? Well, I mean, I guess it's anxiety was the cause of a variety of things, but just this idea of like you were in the habit of meditating and then you couldn't. And then just to think, well, that's just me, right? Or like did you have any conscious thoughts as to why, like I know it was cuz you were anxious, but did you at that point have any theories about, I don't know what I'm trying
I
to say.
thought I thought it could be. Oh, I thought of everything. I drink too much coffee.
Mm.
I don't have enough fun. I don't have
Mm.
enough friends. I don't
Mm.
get out and socialize enough.
Huh.
I'm lonely.
Ah.
I drink too much or not enough.
We're learning lots about Dean right now. What else?
Right.
What else do you do?
I mean, just
Yeah.
whatever, and there were other things. I remember I was out with a friend of mine, and we were over at a farmer's market, and we went upstairs. There's like a little restaurant over there on the second floor. We went up to the second floor. I got to the second floor and I had a major dizzy spell associated with anxiety. I had like a panic attack and dizziness
Oh my gosh.
all at the same time. And he had to walk me downstairs to the
Oh,
fresh air, and he had to talk me down. I was like, "What
oh,
the hell is going on?" I
huh.
just had this panic attack out of nowhere.
Do you remember? Do you remember when you came up to visit me in Calgary and we went to the Calgary Stampede and we went on the Skyline ride?
Oh,
Oh
yes.
dear. Oh, poor
And
guy.
I had never had that kind of fear when I was younger either.
And you're not afraid of heights?
Well, it
Or
was
you
all
weren't?
new. A
Yeah.
lot of those fears were new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if I would feel that way now.
It would be really, really fucking interesting to experiment with all these different situations to see if you are completely
Right.
different.
Sitting here right now, I
Yeah?
don't feel that the anxiety about that
Right. Just
ride.
even thinking about it like you did before.
I did before.
Huh.
I remember you bringing it up after the fact,
Yeah.
after we had done it, and I felt the anxiety just hearing you talking about it.
Huh.
I don't feel that anxiety right now.
God. I wish I could have brain surgery.
There was another
It'd fix
time
every Yeah.
I was out, I stopped at a coffee shop to I had this idea in mind that I was gonna buy a business.
Mm.
I was gonna find like a little bar, a little restaurant that was like dirt
Mm.
cheap, and I was gonna buy it or see if I
Mm.
could or whatever. It turns out it's not that easy to buy a business, but it takes more than money.
uh,
Um, and I sat down at a coffee shop and I was reading my laptop about all the details of this, organization that would facilitate the purchase of the business, and I lost focus of the computer
screen.
screen
Yeah.
and got super anxious and I had
Oh,
a panic attack inside the coffee shop,
wow.
and I had to like close up and leave, and I had been drinking like this little caffeine drink, and I
Uh-huh.
thought it was the caffeine. I thought,
Right. That's interesting.
yeah.
Like there's the value of knowing yourself and
Oh my god, so many other memories are coming back just talking about it.
really.
I had a panic attack in Portland.
Ah.
I was in Portland when I got the call from my
Right.
doctor.
Yeah.
And before I talked to her, I was driving around. I was dizzy, and
Mm.
I thought I had vertigo or something. They were going to send me to a neurologist. They didn't suspect a tumor, but I
Mm.
was waiting for the MRI to come back.
Mm.
And I was driving around up into these like gorgeous hills of Portland, and I had a
Mhm.
full blown panic attack. I had to pull over, get out of my car,
Huh.
and I just thought I was gonna die. I believed fully that I was gonna
Really?
die, and I was scared that
Aw.
I was gonna die in the middle of nowhere, and there was, like,
Uh.
no chance at all of getting any help.
Uh. Good
And then
God.
later that day, I got the phone call that I had a brain tumor.
Huh. That's interesting. It's just like you just got to give people a break. It's like
Right?
we spend so much time judging people and you just can't blame I don't know. You can't blame them. I mean, we can all say free will and choices and well, so and so's that way and they didn't do that, blah blah blah, but it's like overall, it's like people are the way they are. They come by it honestly,
Right.
and they could probably unless unless you make a concerted effort to move beyond the self-judgment and the self-blame and say, "Okay, I have to sit down and actually change my brain from the inside out." It's like you're hopeless. You're a slave. You're a slave to your brain's makeup.
Well, right, it's meditation,
Yeah.
drugs, or
Therapy.
cognitive behavioral therapy is what he points out as the
Yeah.
specific type.
Yeah. But like uh I went I started meditating cuz I mean having the ADD and not knowing that for till I was never you guys mind how old I was. Um,
Plenty old enough.
plenty old enough. Um, um, yeah, it was like my behavior was always inexplicable to me. It's like, at the end of every day, looking back, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? Or why can't I simply do this? And I look around to people, I'm like, why can they all just easily do that? And I find it like impossible. Why?
Mm.
It was self-help book after self-help book. Um, but of course, so many self-help books uh, suggest these exercises to do at the end of the chapter. And of course, I wouldn't do them. So then I'd hate myself even more.
Oh no. Shit.
but but anywho, I did happen upon meditation because that was recommended often in many books, and I found there's a lot of different meditation, right? And it kind of originated with Buddhism. So they're the dudes that are big on meditation,
Hmm.
um,
Letting go.
letting go, acceptance, and whatnot. And then there's different kinds of meditation. So what Dean was talking about, I think, is I don't know the name of it, but it's sort of like trying to empty your mind. You concentrate on your breathing, and then you dismiss. I should get my money back on that speech therapy I had in grade 3. You dismiss your thoughts. So it was like I couldn't do that because with the ADD, it's like the thoughts are just they're intense and they're a constant flow, and there is no way to stop them. And
So help me understand what that's like. You mean you can't stop your thoughts, or
no,
you
well,
can't get out of being the one who's thinking them?
uh, that's a good question. I pretty much gave up before I even would come to that understanding one way or the other. It was just, the idea of you concentrate on your breathing and then you dismiss. God damn it. You
There's
dismiss
something
a
going on
thought.
there.
And then, I don't know. It was just like, I guess I don't know. Maybe for some other people, it does get to the point where they succeed in dismissing all their thoughts, and they are able for however long, be it a minute or 10 minutes or an hour, they're able to have an empty mind.
Mm,
And for me, no, a thought was dismissed, and then the next one was right behind it, and it never
right.
stopped, right? Um,
That's how it works.
yeah. And so I found that pretty frustrating. But then I came upon um, this form of Buddhism. It's sort of like the black sheep of the original, traditional, genuine Buddhism. It's like any religion where some dude up and has a hissy fit and goes off and says, I'm starting my own branch of this religion, right? So
Right.
I don't exactly know what happened back in the day, but so it's called Kadampa.
Ooh.
And because I was determined. You know what? That's another thing is like there's people, a lot of people, they do say, you know what? It's just the way it is. It's just the way I am, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I feel like I'm contradicting ourselves. But I couldn't live the rest of my life being the way that I was. And I was determined. I was always searching for a solution. And someone says a meditation might be the answer. So god damn it, I was going to meditate. Fuck it.
Hmm.
And so I found Kadampa, and they're like a chain restaurant. They have a location in every city.
And
And
around the world,
yeah, so there's one in LA that you could check out, and I really enjoy it. There it's
how's it
lovely.
different?
So it's guided meditation, which
Ah.
isn't earth-shattering, like, that's typical too, but they call it the foundation course, so it's kind of the course that's open to the public, and then it's not even a course, it's just they hold it it's like Sunday service, right? Like any church. You go to Sunday service, and then if you're interested in that church or you like the community, then every church offers little courses. It's not all Bible study, but it's like
Mhm.
whatever kind of courses. So that's the way they are. So you go to their once a week kind of service, and then it's structured like this. So you come in, you sit down, you meet your neighbor, you chat, whatever, and then the dude walks in. Sometimes it's a monk, but other times it's a gosh, I can't remember their official name. I almost wanted to say ganja. Then the ganja comes in.
Can you pass me some of that Kadampa?
And so immediately it's a meditation. And so
Okay.
he has you close your eyes, he has you focus on your breathing, and then he sort of presents kind of a like a scenario. Uh for example, you're late and you're trying to catch the subway and the door closes just as you get there. And what he's doing is he's trying to
Mm.
take you back to a situation and conjure up the feelings. That's what he's
Mhm.
trying to do is he's trying to get you to
Right.
engage in those emotions, and then the meditation's over, and then he spends 20 minutes in a discussion where he presents a Buddhist concept of, and so in that case it could be, say, acceptance, right? Like letting go of your desire to be somewhere on time, or accepting what actually the present moment, accepting simply what has happened without editorializing it into some god awful traumatic scenario experience.
Mhm.
And so then he presents the concept. He tells you, okay, we brought up an emotion. This is how you might deal with it in a Buddhist sort of way. And then this is the last meditation. And it's like kind of going back, but now from a more healthy, informed angle, where it's like, okay, well, now let's experience that same emotion and try to uh, not adopt what we learned, but apply what we've just learned in the
Mhm.
discussion to that same scenario. And so I really it wasn't your typical medication. What's wrong with me?
It's
Ugh.
late.
Yeah,
It's late.
it's not your typical meditation, but it's very much about building skills, skill building.
Mhm. Like, sort of
And
training your emotions.
yeah. And so what I love about that is this idea of training yourself how to cope with imaginary scenarios,
Mhm.
and then down the road when the shit hits the fan, you have more skills. You have more ability to cope with the real stuff,
Right, you've been
right?
there before.
Yeah.
You've been there before in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can draw upon it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like that.
Yeah. And so that's Kadampa meditation. I highly recommend it. Kadampa. Kadampa.
Kadampa.
Mhm.
Well, just to go back to the other meditation, you described the other kind of meditation as your thoughts would come up and you never got a clear mind. You
Mhm.
never had a mind without thoughts.
Mhm.
But I just want to suggest that having a mind without thoughts isn't the objective of
Mhm.
the other kind of clear your mind kind of meditation.
Right. No, I
The
think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, the because your thoughts will never stop.
Right.
The and that's one of the real insights that you gain from that kind of meditation,
Mhm.
because what we end up doing um is too closely associating ourselves with our thoughts,
Mm.
as if we're
Mhm.
thinking them and they're
Mm.
us, and those
Mm.
thoughts, they are
Mhm.
me.
A reflection of our character or personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because they're crazy and
Yeah.
they're random and
Yeah.
they're nuts and they're all over
Uh-huh.
the place. So you're never going to stop them. Well, maybe you will. I don't know. As at the beginning, early,
Mhm.
intermediate stages, you're
Mhm.
not going to stop them. The key is to witness them, hear
Mm.
them,
Mhm.
separate from you. You can sort of
Mm.
become the listener of your own thoughts rather than you can separate out that you're not really necessarily producing them.
Mhm.
And to hang on to that space for a while is
Right.
what that's really all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think again that's a practice, right? Buddhism calls meditation a practice or
Mhm.
practicing Buddhism. You're never the expert. You're always practicing. But even that, the ability to, if you experience some traumatic event, like say stubbing your toe, which I personally find traumatic. I've
It's
mentioned that before.
terrible.
I started wearing shoes in the house. Oh, it makes me
Thank
mad.
you, Kadampa.
But, just it's one thing to experience pain, but then there's another layer of shit that we heap upon ourselves that we would best not,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like the anger, like maybe um some unhealthy behavior we might exhibit towards say our dog because we're in pain
Mm.
or
Mhm.
letting the memory of having done that ruin the rest of your day, right? And
Right.
so if you have sat down and trained yourself to see your thoughts and dismiss them, then that would be a good time to use that training in that moment. You look like you need to go somewhere. You're squirming in your chair. I can see him on video.
No, I'm not squirming. My left forearm itches. So what I'm doing to scratch it is I'm putting my arm all the way down into my pants so that my forearm is rubbing. I'm wearing my gym shorts. So my forearm is rubbing against the elastic of my gym shorts. My hand is literally hanging out the bottom of my gym shorts.
Well, okay, do you have psoriasis?
No. Oh, I actually told you about it yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah.
No, I don't have psoriasis. Please, do I look like I have psoriasis? I don't think
Well, with
so.
with your arm with your forearm all the way down your gym shorts and you writhing about in your chair, yeah, you look like you have psoriasis.
I don't know what it
Do
is.
you still have that stuff that I gave you? The roll-on stuff for your face?
Yeah.
Put that on there. Just humor me and put that on overnight and see if it helps the itch tomorrow.
Okay. It kind of burns a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's if you look up psoriasis, it could be that. It could be from stress.
I don't want psoriasis.
Okay.
I don't like how it sounds.
It's all about accepting.
Okay. Well, I feel like this whole conversation, if I was going to sum it, even the part about meditation
Mhm.
and listening to your thoughts and knowing how you react to stressful situations like stubbing your toe and
Mhm.
reaching, it's like it's all, oh, and your whole story earlier about knowing your parameters,
Mhm.
like you used as an example, as a
Mhm.
placeholder, being a night owl.
Right, yeah.
And so not struggling to get up in the morning, but that could be anything, right?
Right.
Whatever it is,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
knowing yourself is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Knowing yourself on the level of what you like, what you don't like, what you can do, what you
Mhm.
can't do,
Mhm.
but also on the level of, hey, wait a second, I don't normally feel this way.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm feeling different, listening to yourself and just knowing your whole body and your brain and
Mhm.
your mind and everything
Yeah.
seems pretty central to maybe not changing your mind. Yeah, maybe changing your mind. It's really about knowing
Mhm.
yourself, knowing how we work and how
Well,
we deal with shit.
exactly. It's like you can't it's pretty tough to change your mind if you don't know where you're at now and you don't know where you want to go,
Mhm.
right? That's what I find difficult. Well, I don't know if this is a tangent, but just, setting goals. It's like I don't know what I want and I have trouble making decisions. It's like once you make the decision, then you're much more likely to achieve, right? But it's like making the decision is the hard part. I don't know how that's relevant, but but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it is somehow.
Mhm.
But I always go to like I always try to take a step back and like take the meta route. Like there's a meta way
Mhm.
where you like you just said you don't know what you want.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not the meta way, but you can challenge some assumptions there, right?
Right, yeah.
Like you're assuming, and you said in a previous podcast that you're full of shoulds.
Right.
So maybe one of your shoulds is I should want something.
Mhm.
I
Right.
should want to set goals. I
Mhm.
should have goals.
Mhm.
Um, and just as a way of, just
Mhm.
as a thought, as a wondering,
Mhm.
is there a fallacy in that?
Oh, definitely. I think you're absolutely right. Because now that you mention it, that's occurred to me.
Hmm. I thought maybe it had.
Well, as I don't know if it's out of frustration that I haven't achieved my goals or or but I had come to this realization maybe just out of frustration or default that I'm more of a process person and not really so much I'm more of a journey person and not so much a destination person.
Hmm.
Right? It's like there's those self-help books out there like the Tony Robbins or whatever, and they're way too god ambitious or goal oriented or for me cuz it's just I don't really care where I'm at. I just I just want to be enjoying myself at the moment, right?
Hmm.
Sort
Right.
of more of like being in the moment. And that's I think there is some validity to that because people I think too often live in the future, right? Well, once I do this, then I'll be happy. Once I buy that,
Hmm.
then I'll, right? So maybe
And it's
goals
almost like,
sometimes are counterproductive. I guess if you're making them for the wrong reasons.
well, it comes back to almost the metaphor that you choose for life,
Mm,
right? Is life is life like traveling down a road,
mhm,
right? If that's the metaphor that you kind of assume for life,
mhm,
then of course it only makes sense that where are you going,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
But if your metaphor for life is that life is a dance,
Mm.
then
Then we're doing it,
often
baby.
yeah, oftentimes in a dance you're not going somewhere.
No.
You're doing it the whole
Yeah.
time. From beginning to
Right.
end, you're doing the dance.
Right, right. Yeah. Hmm. I like that way better.
Yeah, I like life as a dance for sure. But a lot of people, and I think we all slip into life as a road.
Mhm.
Or then you could, I mean, there's life could be a song, life could be a drag, life could be a,
Life's a
right?
bitch. Yeah.
Life's a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, this was
Well,
fun.
it was fun. We're at our limit. Um
Yeah,
we've about hit our limit.
time
Uh
is up.
but yeah, I just wanted to mention that in addition to meditation, which I think is could be a lot of people's cup of tea is cognitive therapy and then the medication. And I have to say I've had good experiences with both of those as well. So
Hmm.
I think what's great about the book and the chapter is that in spite of your your physical makeup and your circumstances, there are effective and accessible methods of improving yourself in whatever way
Mm-hmm.
that you want to, right? It's like all is not lost. There is
Right.
there is hope, right? You like
Mm-hmm.
I searched for a long time to figure out what the fuck my problem was and I found it. And it's not that I'm all better. I'm definitely not, but at least I feel like I make progress. And that is a huge relief.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. Baby
Progress.
steps. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that was like very inspirational story that you shared earlier was about the point you made about not giving up.
Right.
Don't give up. You could
Yeah.
be lost
Mhm.
without without any sense of where to go, but just don't give up. You can find a way out,
Mhm.
or you can find a way. You can find a way out ish.
Mhm. I also highly recommend moving.
Oh, all right.
I don't it's not the solution, but if you keep moving and you encounter the same problems, then it gives you some perspective on how many of your problems are from you that originate
Mm,
out of you and how many as opposed to blaming where you grew up, blaming your family, blaming the people you hang around with,
mm-hmm.
right? Blaming your job. Um,
It's like, what's that saying? Wherever you go, there you are.
right. And
You
it,
learn, well,
yeah,
you learn a little bit about that.
but it's great to get some perspective because if you can't internalize that as a fact, then just move and then you'll find out it's true.
Before we go, I do want to mention because I read a book. God, I guess it's been a year or two ago now, by an author that I love.
Love.
Big man
Bigley?
crush.
Oh.
I got a big man crush.
Aw.
Um, if you're gay and you have a crush on a man, is it a man crush? Well, he's straight, so what is it? I have a crush or a man crush? I feel like
I
a
think
man crush is between straight men, don't you?
isn't that a I don't know. Is that a bro crush? I don't know. I
Who
guess it's a
cares?
man crush, yeah.
Who, whatever. Sam Harris. Sam Harris.
Sam Harris.
Yeah, he's an author, and he
Mhm.
wrote a book called Waking Up,
Mm.
a guide to spirituality without religion.
Mm.
It's really a fantastic book. It talks about meditation, and it talks about spiritual experiences without all the hocus pocus and the voodoo and the magic and all that crap that you don't need.
Mhm.
He's a very rational thinker, very rigorous in his thinking, Sam Harris. And you know what I'll do?
Mm.
I'll put a link to that book on our website.
Oh, cool. And that I'm glad you mentioned that because there's also a course that if they are not interested in Buddhism whatsoever because they don't like the religious overtones, there is a completely stripped down meditation course that you can take that was developed by some neuro doctors in the Boston hospital. And I don't remember it's like mindfulness based uh something something, and it's all about mindfulness. So that's like the key word that people use now instead of meditation is
Mm,
mindfulness.
right,
And so yeah, I haven't taken that course, but I've always wanted to. So I think that would be a good alternative for people who want to meditate but don't want to do the whole Buddhist thing.
right.
Yeah.
There's another great book. God, there's so many great books. There's a book called
So
Thoughts
many.
Without a Thinker.
Ah.
Is another great book about a Western psychiatrist's take on Eastern traditions, I
Mm.
think.
Hmm.
Anyway, the book is called Thoughts Without a Thinker, and it kind of sums up what that style of meditation is all about.
Right.
You have your thoughts, but you're observing, so there is no thinker.
Yeah.
There's just thoughts. It's
Yeah.
kind of trippy. It's a little, psychedelic.
I have to say, I find self-help books so interesting. And people are just so cynical.
Well, the term for me, the term self-help is a little bit of a turnoff because
Yeah.
so much of it is pop psychology, armchair psychology, Oprah. I love
Right.
Oprah, but a little Oprah.
But not based in science? Is that sort of the problem or
Right. So much of it
okay.
is like that. This book is not. This book is a very serious book. Sam
Yeah.
Harris's book about spirituality is a very serious book on the
Mm.
subject.
Mm.
So I feel like self-help is a very broad category,
Right.
and there's some good there, some not so good, I think.
Well, you use the term positive psychology. So is that term um laid upon only like serious books that because to be able to say it's psychology, one would think it would have to have some kind of legitimacy written by some kind of psychologist.
Well,
Or,
anybody, of course, anybody can call what they're doing whatever they want.
yeah, I
But
guess.
positive psychology is a branch of the science of psychology.
Right.
It's a branch. I mean, it's psychologists. They just study how do people without mental illnesses
Mhm.
flourish.
Mhm. Mm.
It's the branch of psychology that focuses on folks without mental illnesses.
Right. Or focuses on the positive aspects of life in spite of perhaps having a mental illness.
Mm, yeah,
I
I
don't
guess
know.
you could look at it that way.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't want to think that positive psychology is only for the healthy people, because otherwise it wouldn't apply to me, and I really like it. It really helps me. So yeah,
Mm.
but
Well, I don't know if I don't know if this is any different, but it deals with issues that everyone has,
mm,
regardless of their whether or not
mm,
they have mental illness. I guess.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, meaning in life.
Right.
Yeah,
Purpose, fulfillment,
yeah, it's kind of existential,
right. Thriving instead of just surviving.
right?
Yeah,
Okay, well, listen, we could go on for another hour.
we really could.
Maybe not.
Maybe we'll wrap it up.
I think it's time. Yeah, next time it's um
Chapter 3.
chapter 3. It's reciprocity with a vengeance.
Interesting. Oh, and you know what? Thanks for telling us about your sassy McAssface.
Oh
I know
yeah, sure. It's not
it's
a secret.
probably it's not a secret, but it's also like I mean, it's generous of you to share something so personal because it could help a lot of people. All those
Yeah.
people out there with brain tumors and they don't know about it.
Right.
No, don't
Right.
worry,
I
people.
know.
It's not you.
Right. Well, just go
But
get
no.
your MRIs done, people.
Yeah. I guess ultimately all we're trying to say is know yourself and take care of yourself.
So, Lisa,
Yes?
check this out.
Okay.
Nobody has to miss a single episode of our podcast.
Oh, really?
They can subscribe to our mailing list on our website, foolsonfire.com.
They can also subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Search Fools on Fire. And perhaps, maybe, write a review. That'd be awesome. Our Facebook page is /Fools on Fire.
We're on Instagram.
Ah.
Fools on Fire
Uh-huh.
is our Instagram handle.
Yeah?
Is that what they call it?
I don't know.
All right.
They can send us an email, fools@foolsonfire.com. Also, follow us on Twitter. The handle is @firedupfools. That's what it is.
Bingo.
Yep. Bippy boppy. Bye-bye.